Thank you for the beautiful recitation. I would like to welcome Sheikh Hussain Al-Nashed on behalf of the Houston community. We are really grateful that you made time for our community in Houston, and inshallah we were looking forward to benefiting from your lectures. If you guys, just a little brief info for Sheikh Nashed. He's been serving the School of Ahlul Bayt for the last 10 years. He has delivered lectures in many universities and many centers around the globe. And inshallah, we'll, in this brief talk that I've had with him on the way from the airport, he just came in straight from the airport, pretty much. You know, I'm even more looking forward to his lectures now. He was raised in the West, in the UK. He's originally from Kuwait and Iraq. Yeah, and his family moved to Iran for a while to support the revolution that was happening over there. They left everything to join the revolution. Then from there they went to UK. So mashallah, he's seen many different cultures. He's stayed in many different countries. So very dynamic person. So we're really looking forward to benefiting from the lectures. He also specializes in interfaith dialogue and intra-faith dialogue, and this is something that I think is lacking, and inshallah we'll talk to him more during his stay to see how we can get into that kind of stuff over here. He is really good at marriage counseling, which is like, I think, a really huge thing nowadays. So if anybody's having any trouble, he's here for you, So inshallah, without any further ado, also he's forgot to mention one thing. He's an avid photographer, and inshallah we'll learn more about that too during his stay. Today is the first Majlis, and inshallah we'll also ask you to come on time like you've done today, so we can start on time and finish by 9 o'clock, like we've promised the Urdu Maulana that we won't take his time. So inshallah, please come on time so we can start on time and finish on time. With this, I'd like to welcome Sheikh Hussain Al-Nashed to the podium. Please come and address the Majlis. Can we have a loud salawat?
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان اللعين الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم أعوذ بالله من الشيطان اللعين الرجيم بسم الله الحمد لله رب العالمين وبه نستعين الحمد لله رب العالمين وبه نستعين ثم الصلاة والسلام على أشرف الأنبياء والمرسلين خاتم النبيين سيدنا وسيد الأولين والآخرين بالقاسم محمد وعلى آل بيته الطيبين الطاهرين المعصومين المنتخبين المنتجبين المظلومين الذين أذهب الله عنهم الرجس وطهرهم تطهيرا. Amma ba'd, my respected brothers and sisters, elders, learned scholars, عظم الله لنا ولكم الأجر بمصاب سيدنا ومولانا أبي عبد الله الحسين عليه السلام الله. Our condolences to you and to ourselves and to the Imam of our time on the tragic remembrance of Karbala, the tragedy which witnessed the best of Allah's creation being oppressed, made to suffer, and ultimately in the end was killed in the most brutal way any Muslim had ever been killed to that date. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give us the opportunity to serve the cause of Abu Abdullah al-Hussain alayhi salam. And we pray to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala humbly to hasten the reappearance of the Imam al-Hujjat ibn al-Hasan ajalallah ta'ala faraj al-Sharif, so that we may be of those who call with him Ya li tharati al-Hussain. Sallu ala Muhammadin wa ali Muhammad. I think you're just going to have to bear with the audio, because I don't know if you can hear me well, but to me I'm hearing a lot of feedback. The title of tonight's talk, inshallah, is To Know Imam Hussain alayhi salam. The general theme of everything that will be discussed from now until Yawm Ashura and anything in between that is generally the idea of what would Imam Hussain alayhi salam say if he were to be with us today and to witness what we are witnessing. In a nutshell, it is to take Karbala as a starting point of our destination and to make its philosophies and ideals our aims and objectives in life, that we may be of those fortunate ones who were with the caravan of Abi Abdullah Hussain alayhi salam Allah. I begin with a very short story which I've heard on recent trips in Ziyarah, and I've also heard it before, but being in Karbala and hearing it from people who you have known to become, from the scholarly world, people who are respectable and their word is more truthful than yours, it just kind of reinforces that ideology a bit more. The story, which is well circulated in Iraq and outside of Iraq, is during the time of the La'in Saddam, there was, as the elders would remember, there was an incident where the Iraqi Shia from the south rose against Saddam after the Gulf War. And in rising against Saddam, La'natullah alayhi, they were almost about to bring him down had it not been for US intervention. And the US obviously sent their helicopters and, suppressed the Shia revolution at the time, and Saddam was able to oppress the people for many more years to come. But in that instance, when the Shia of Ahl Bayt were kind of on the back foot of the revolution, every city in Iraq had fallen to the Shia revolution with the exception of Tikrit and Baghdad. But every other city was rising against Saddam. And this movement began in Karbala and it ended also in Karbala, where there are still videos in YouTube that show you how the men and the women and the children had nowhere to go but the shrine of Imam Hussain alayhi salam Allah to take refuge from the brutal regime of Saddam that was not discriminating against male or female, old or young. It was just guns blazing everywhere. So these people took refuge in the haram of Abu Abdullah Hussain alayhi salam Allah. Some of these people were taken as captives, and this particular incident is involving 10 of these captives who were in the prison of Saddam La'natullah alayh and were being, totally and brutally tortured by the henchmen of Saddam. And if you see the videos of how he used to torture, it's not something easy to digest. Let's just say ISIS look like they have some humanity in comparison to the way that Saddam treated the Shia of Ahl Bayt alayhi salam. So now these individuals had suffered immensely, and it came to a point where a question was put to them. They were all brought before Saddam or before one of his henchmen or his sons, and they were asked the following question: have you changed your mind? Are you with this Hussein, meaning Abu Abdullah Hussain alayhi salam Allah, or are you with me? Because his name was Saddam Hussein. And the first one, probably family, probably the pain was unbearable, whatever the reasons were, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has left the door open for taqiyya. So the first one said, look, I'm with you. I don't want to go back to this prison where death can overtake me at any time, and even then, death will be God-sent mercy, because what you're doing to us is nothing but brutality. So the first one says, no, I'm with you. Second, third, fourth, maybe fifth or sixth says, no, I'm still with Hussein ibn Ali alayhi salam. Believing that, I was able to take all this suffering, this torture, and probably if they were to torture me more, I know I still have some more sabr within me. I have that patience, that resolve. So he said, I'm still with Hussein ibn Ali and never with you. Without any two words being exchanged, he pulls his gun out and he shoots him point blank in his head, terminating his life there and then. The next person just witnessed this and realized that it's no longer a laughing matter and it's very serious. There's no going back to prison now. To say you are with Hussain ibn Ali is certain death. And like those who came before him, he said, I am with you now, I'm not with Hussain ibn Ali. And it continues until one of them again says, I am with Hussain ibn Ali and never with you. And likewise, he also gets killed. The story says that all those who survived that very night had the same dream, that they saw Abu Abdullah al-Hussain alayhi salamullah with Abu Fadl al-Abbas, with Qasim ibn al-Hasan, with Ali al-Akbar, and with all of the Bani Hashim who were in Karbala. They came to the place where the first guy and the second guy were killed. And he went to the first guy and he said to his companions, he said, bury him here. And as for the second one, he said, carry him and bury him in Ganj Shuhada with me, where the other 72 companions are also buried. So the other survivors were astonished at this differentiation between the two individuals, and they asked, they said, oh, Abu Abdullah, they both died for you and because of you. So why is it that one of them remains here while the other one is taken to Karbala with you? Imam Hussain alayhi salamullah said, this man is with me in Jannah. Just because I buried him here, it doesn't mean his status is any less in the Akhirah. He is with me in Jannah. But when this man said that he is with Hussain ibn Ali, at no point in his thought process did he think that those words would cost him his life. He wasn't ready to die. His death was a byproduct. It was consequential. It was never intended by him. Whereas the second person knew that those words, to say I am with Hussain ibn Ali alayhi salamullah, could only lead to one thing and one thing only, that it will cost me my life. So therefore he said those words not just ready to die, but anticipating that death and eagerly for it. And therefore the Imam alayhi salamullah said it is the niyyah of the individual which was different. And that attitude is the attitude of my 72 companions who journeyed with me to Karbala, while witnessing me say to them each and every day, "O my companions, nothing but death awaits you." There is no power, there is no social status, there is no wealth, there is nothing after Karbala. There is only death fi sabilillah. And they were unwavering in their loyalty. And thus this man had the same kind of determination as my 72, and therefore he is to be buried with them. Sallu ala Muhammadin wa Muhammad. Our objective in life is from Karbala and to Karbala. From Karbala we take our lessons. From Karbala we take our identity. From Karbala we draw the map of humanitarian values. We understand the meaning of salvation. We understand the price of freedom. That freedom, the only price we must pay for it, if ever given the choice, is that we pay with our blood and not with our dignity. Abi Abdullah al-Hussain in Karbala was given a simple choice. Give your hand in submission to Yazid la'natullah alayh, and you will live. And Imam Hussain alayhi salam made that famous statement which resonates today and is a source of inspiration for the free men and women around the world, where Abu Abdullah said, Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, Inna ad-da'i ibn ad-da'i qad rakaza bayna ithnatayn, bayna as-sillati wal-dhilla, wa hayhat min al-dhilla. The false claimant to Khilafah, and one who is born out of wedlock. And he is also the son of a false claimant to Khilafah who is also born out of wedlock, has given me an ultimatum, a choice between death by the sword or the life of a humiliated person. And by Allah, I will never live the life of a humiliated person. Allah does not accept that from me. Neither does Rasulullah, nor the purified womb which carried me, or the lap which raised me. the believing men and women expect more from me than to live a life of submission whilst I was raised in a house of dignity and honor. These words, inshallah, we will look at the philosophy and what Imam Hussain alayhi salam meant by these words as we progress in our journey towards Karbala, inshallah. But such values for our youngsters to understand, these are the values which kept the name of Ahlul Bayt alive, because Ahlul Bayt became synonymous with a life of dignity. Ahlul Bayt became synonymous with a life worthy of living, and that if it was ever taken away from you, the only thing you can do, or the only other lifestyle you're willing to settle for, is the life of a shaheed, where you die with dignity, then live a life of oppression. All these values are deeply rooted within Karbala. And inshallah, from them we take these lessons, not so that we may become egocentric, nor to become arrogant, nor to become boastful or prideful, but because it is our inherent right to live a life of a free person. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala created mankind with free will. Allah did not force us to pray. Allah did not force us to fast. Allah did not force us to worship Him, despite the authority which He has upon us and the rights which we have towards Him. But Allah gave us a freedom to choose whether we worship or whether we do not worship. And then after giving us that freedomship, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said in the Quran al-Kareem, Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, Izzah, dignity, namus in some languages as it is called. But to live a life of dignity, al-Izzatu lillah, Izzah, dignity belongs to Allah and to the Prophet and to the believing men and women. Because a believing man and a believing woman will never succumb to a life of humiliation, because they know their worth. And I'll give you an example with the salawat ala Muhammadin wa ali Muhammad. If you and I were to walk into any, for example, retail store, let's say Apple or Walmart or wherever it may be, and from a can of Coke that may cost you $1 to an iPhone which may cost you $799, right? When I walk into these places, it has the price there. It is predestined by the one who creates it, right? The owner of it, the possessor of it at the time of question. And they have labeled that price, and I walk in and I say, right, I want to give you $650 for the iPhone. And the Coke, which is $1, I want to give you $10. In both instances, they would refuse to accept. Because in the instance of the phone, they will say, you are underpaying for something that I know it's worth. And as for the Coke, you are overpaying for something, and I'm not going to take that from you. I know the value of both of these things, these items in question. When we as a human being want to know what is our worth, Allah made me and told me I am dignified, I have a prestige, I have an honor, I have a freedom. I essentially belong to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Inna lillah wa inna ilayhi raji'un. I came from Him, and unto Him shall be my return, inshaAllah. So therefore, what is my value? I need to look at the market, and I need to compare and know whether I am being undersold or whether I am being oversold. What is my value as a human being? And the best place to look to understand your values is none other than Karbala. Karbala, without ever degrading its status or to kind of compare it to anything, because nothing is comparable to the sound of Karbala, but to bring that example closer to home, it is the Wall Street of Iman. It is the Wall Street of humanity. It is that business area, if so to speak, metaphorically, where values are set and everybody else follows suit, where prices rise but never fall. That is our Karbala. When we look to Karbala, we hear the voice of Sayyid al-Shuhada Abu Abdullah al-Hussain resonating throughout the ages, when he said to the people, Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, he said to them, you are worthy of paradise, so do not settle for anything less. Simple words, yet so powerful. Imam is saying Allah is ready to give you paradise, right? Because ultimately Allah said you either go to Jannah or you go to Jahannam. Na'udhu billah. We seek refuge from Jahannam. And Imam Hussain is saying, listen, Allah wants to give you Jannah because you must be worthy of it. Allah is saying, I'm going to exchange you this life for paradise of eternity. Or I can exchange you for Jahannam. It's your choice. These are the two things I'm willing to sell to you in exchange for your obedience. You turn around and you say, well, and again, I'm speaking here contemporary issues which face us today. Do not think that for a moment that Yazid La'natullah alayh was a person. No. Yazid was a set of values, or rather the lack of values. And those values have not died. The man is dead and gone, and may he burn in the worst pits of hell. But those values of oppression, those values of tyranny, those values of misleading the creation of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, usurping their God-given rights, those values still exist in our society. So it's not just that I cry for Hussein. No, I should weep for the values which were embodied by Abu Abdullah al-Hussain. And it's not that I should despise Yazid the person alone. I should despise anything associated with him also. Any value which is Yazid-like, I must despise that and repel it out of my life. To bring that example closer to our youth, we are living in a society where your friends in school will one day offer you something that your parents have always warned you about. For example, cannabis is very common, right? And I know these are things which normally we are told should not be discussed off the minbar of Abu Abdullah al-Hussain alayhi salam. But Abu Abdullah al-Hussain went to do Amr bil Ma'ruf and Nahy an al-Munkar. And therefore, whenever there is munkar happening in our society, specifically one where our youth could fall victim to, it becomes incumbent on the minbar of Abu Abdullah al-Hussain to address such issues. Otherwise, the minbar of Abu Abdullah will only simply become a place where we come to cry for 10 days in Muharram, and then we go home back to where we came from. But when you are offered these things, for example, a friend of yours is saying to you, and you know what, their values are different than ours. Yes. Lakum dinakum waliyadin. Islam says, fine, that's your values. I'm not going to turn around and call you a bad person. I'm not going to say you're going to burn in hell for it. That's your values. But my values, as a Shia of Ahlul Bayt, as a person that was nourished by the milk of Wilayati Ali ibn Abi Talib, as an individual who grew up with the names of Fatima, Zainab, Kulthum, as an individual who's called Hussein, Hassan, Ali, Muhammad, Mustafa, Haydar, I have different values than you. And these values come from Karbala. And when you offer me to go to a place where there is music that is being played, or where there is haram that is taking place, or where the people are intoxicating themselves in this way or in that way, you are asking me to sell myself. You are asking me to exchange my current situation for an alternative situation. You are asking me to lower my prestige in my society, not only in my society, but within my own self, of how I perceive myself. You are asking me to part with that, and I say to you, fine, I am willing to do so. But what will you give me in return? You're going to give me a moment of being high. You're going to give me a moment of being famous. Look at the Kanye West of today. Today he's famous, tomorrow he's a nobody, just like the guys that came before him and just like everyone that will come after him. You want me to become famous for something that is temporary? You want me to part with my akhirah for that? No. Imam Hussain said to me, my life that I've got is worth Jannah. Do you have something better than Jannah to give me? No? Then I'm sorry. Lakum dinakum waliya deen. And this is when Karbala no longer becomes a eulogy and a story. It becomes a lifestyle which is embedded in everything that we do. And that is how, inshaAllah, when we leave the Majalis of Imam Hussain, we are thinking to that end. People turn around and say, why do you mourn about Abdullah al-Hussain from the first night of Muharram, and Ashura has not even knocked its door yet? That doesn't matter, because to us Hussain is universal. Hussain transcends time and place. He transcends all languages. Ya Hussain is universal. Whether you are Pakistani, Khoja, Arab, Indian, whatever you may be, African, Mexican, when you know the values of Hussain, they are universal values which can apply to each and every single one of us. And therefore, inshallah, I strongly encourage you. We wanted to keep today rather brief, because in the next days we will actually be picking particular subjects and dealing with each subject on a daily basis. But this is somewhat of an introduction. I want us to come to the Majalis of Imam Hussain alayhi salamullah, and I speak to myself first and foremost, that when we come to the Majlis of Aba Abdullah Hussain alayhi salamullah, there are certain things that we need to do. And again, this is a request, whether you act upon it or not is between you and your Imam. When you come to the member of Aba Abdullah Hussain, or when you come to the Majlis of Imam Hussain, there are certain etiquettes which must be observed at all times. For example, my phone, if I can't switch it off, I put it on silent and I put it in my pocket. At the same time, do not be judgmental of others. Karbala, we saw different people do different things for Imam Hussain. One gave his hand, another gave his eye, another stood in salah to protect Imam. Nobody judged the other one saying he is mourning differently. Sometimes someone can have their phone in a majlis and you're looking at them and you're judging, but maybe they're taking notes, right? If that's what you're doing, that's absolutely fine. But what I'm saying is, don't sit in the majlis when you're not in the majlis, when your mind and heart and soul are somewhere else. The Mimbar of Rasulullah, the Maqam of Aba Abdullah, the month of Muharram has its respect and it has its prestige. The second thing that we must observe is try as much as you can to wear black in Muharram. This is the tradition of the Ahlul Bayt alayhim salam. Do not, and especially for my brothers, do not take too much time grooming yourself. Imam Ja'far al-Sadiq alayhi salam, sallallahu alayhi Muhammad. He says that you should let your beard grow from the 1st of Muharram to the 10th. You should leave your hair to be disheveled on the day of Ashura. None of this gel business. Now, I know exactly what you're thinking. You know, we all live in the same society where we are judged, right? But you think to yourself, why is Imam telling me to do this? The reason why Imam is telling you to do that, it is for the following. If in my inner circle, in my social circles, my friends, my family, everybody knows me that I'm always well groomed, for example, or I style my hair a certain way, or I dress in a certain fashion, and all of a sudden they see that, you know what, day 1's gone by and he hasn't shaved, day 2's gone by and he hasn't shaved, day 4, and you know what, this guy is looking distressed. Normally when you see someone at work who hasn't shaved, you begin to see them as someone who is stressed because they're out of their element. You turn up to work and everyone knows every day you comb your hair and today your hair's all over the place. What's going to happen? You see, the one who doesn't care about you is not going to ask you yes or no. But the one who cares about you is going to come and is going to say, Muhammad, Haidar, Fatima, whoever you may be, what's wrong? You're not yourself. I see like, you know, someone must have died. Something's gone wrong. Are you okay? Talk to me. I'm here to listen. You see, if I went up to a person and said, hey, can I tell you about Imam Hussain alayhi salam? They'd be like, no, sorry, I haven't got time. But if you came to me to inquire about my state of affair because you can see that I'm in a state of grief and sorrow, so much so that I'm not even looking after myself anymore, you begin to ask me, you say, what is the matter with you? You are concerned, you want to hear about my problems because you're hopeful that you can help remove my distress. And then I tell you that there is a man who passed away 1,400 years ago. And because of him, I'm commemorating his anniversary. And it distresses me that he was such a wonderful and amazing personality. And despite all of that, the way he died was the most brutal way. He's the first person to have his head severed in the religion of Islam. You think what ISIS are doing today is the sunnah of Rasulullah? No. What ISIS is doing today is what is the thing that happened to Rasulullah first and foremost. The first victims of terrorism and extremism is Abu Abdullah Hussain and his Ahlul Bayt. And now you begin to have this opportunity where you can start to educate your friends and your work colleagues and whoever it may be about Karbala, about our values and how we are different to every other school of thought. So these are some things that I hope, inshallah, we keep in our hearts and in our minds as we go forward in these next 10 days, and we give them that sanctified right, that God-given right to this month of Muharram. That we don't make it a month of excessive joking and laughing. I'm not saying be gloomy all the time, although that should be the true state of those who miss Abu Abdullah Hussain. But at the same time, don't be happy all the time. Don't continue like nothing occurred to Abu Abdullah Hussain, or that it occurred but it does not matter for you. Because in the dua or in the ziyarah of Ashura, what do we say? وَلَعَنَ اللَّهُ أُمَّةً سَمِعَتْ بِذَلِكَ فَرَضِيَتْ بِهِ. O Abu Abdullah, may Allah send His la'na on a nation which heard about what happened to you and it carried on like nothing happened. وَرَضِيَتْ بِذَلِكَ. It was content. Oh, Hussain died? Oh, okay. Let's go have a cup of tea and we talk about some football. It's like unfazed by it. So we cannot be those people who Imam Ja'far as-Sadiq has asked Allah that the la'na of Allah be on such people who hear about Hussain while knowing who he is, yet they are unfazed by the tragedy of Sayyid al-Shuhada Abi Abdullah. Let us dim out the lights as we turn our hearts and our souls towards Karbala to be with Ahlul Bayt alayhim salamullah on this night. On this night in which the heart of Imam Zamana Ajalallah Ta'ala Faraj al-Sharif is wounded. You can turn out the lights completely, it's fine. There's a reason why we say you turn off the lights, because there is so much thawab in crying for Imam Hussain. There is much thawab in weeping for Sayyid al-Shuhada. It is salvation for you in the dunya and in the akhirah. And the reason we turn off the lights is in case you feel shy from the person next to you to see you cry, you are now in your own privacy to weep for Abu Abdullah Hussain. A person came to Imam Rida alayhi salamullah by the name of Du'abul. And the Imam said to him, recite a marthiyah about Imam Hussain, recite a marthiyah. So he said, Imam, today is a day of Eid. Why should we recite a marthiyah? The Imam became a bit upset by this. He said, don't you know there is no time and place that is excluded from Karbala? Our everyday should be Karbala. Our everyday should be Ashura. So he began to recite the following verses. O Fatima, had you been in Karbala and you saw your Hussain, how he was killed thirsty by the river Euphrates, then surely Fatima you would have sat next to him and slapped and ripped at your face. At that moment Imam Rida alayhi salam collapsed. He lost conscience. Then he woke up and he said, continue, repeat, a'id, a'id. He began to recite those verses again. Again, the Imam collapsed. Third time he woke up, he said, again, repeat, don't stop. He said, then surely, Fatima, you would have sat next to Hussain and slapped your face and scratched at your face, O Fatima, daughter of the pure Rasul. How is it that the angels and the earth wept for Hussain, but you are not there to weep for him? They asked the Imam, they said, Imam, why did you collapse twice? He said, by Allah, he exactly described the state of Fatima to Zahra on Yawm Ashura. He said, Yawm Ashura, our mother was sitting by Aba Abdullah while that La'in ibn La'in Shimr sat on his chest. I take you back to Medina to Rasulullah, back to the moment when Fatima to Zahra was on her own deathbed. You got to understand, Imam Hussain is so important. He is bigger than every other calamity that you face. Whatever you face, say Assalamu alayka ya Aba Abdullah. Fatima to Zahra bint Rasulillah. In Medina, she is sitting in her home after they brutally attacked her home and they broke her ribs. While she was on her deathbed, Bibi Zainab alayha salam was sitting next to Fatima. Nobody knew about the broken ribs except Zainab al-Kubra. Zainab is sitting next to her mother Fatima and she began to weep because she knows she's got no one to confine in. Ali doesn't know yet, Hassan doesn't know, Hussein doesn't know. Fatima Zahra is looking at Zainab, bi abi wa ummi. She reaches out, she wipes away the tears of Zainab. Very young at this age, Zainab is less than 4 years old. Fatima says to her, oh Zainab, do not cry, why are you weeping? She said, mother, your broken ribs have broken my heart. Your miscarried child has shattered my soul. Fatima begins to cry. Zainab says, mother, why do you weep? She says, if you are crying for one broken rib, oh Zainab, be ready in Karbala to see many more broken ribs. And if you are weeping for a miscarried infant, then be ready to see the infant of Hussain planted to his chest with a spear. Yes, by Allah, on Yawm Ashura, Aba Abdullah al-Hussain, when he left the Mukhayyam, Zainab came behind him. She said, Mahlan mahla ya ibn Zahra. Patience, patience, O the son of Zahra. Imam Hussain said, Zainab, you mentioned the name of our mother Fatima. Why? You have reminded me of everything that happened to her. She said, Aba Abdullah, let me see your neck and let me see your chest. He showed her, she came up to him, she smelled the fragrance of his neck. She kissed the holy chest of Imam Hussain. She faced herself towards Medina. She said, Assalamu alayki ya Zahra. I have delivered the amana. Imam Hussain said, Zainab, what are you doing? This is very strange. She said, Aba Abdullah, while our mother was on her deathbed, her final words were, oh my Hussain, oh my Hussain. That she said to me, oh Zainab, I wish I could be by Aba Abdullah, but I will not be there. So I want you to kiss the neck that will be severed, and I want you to kiss the ribs that will be broken, and tell him, Aba Abdullah, you were the life and soul of your mother Fatima. أجركم على الله. إنا لله وإنا إليه راجعون. ألا لعنة الله على القوم الظالمين وسيعلم الذين ظلموا آل محمد أي منقلب سينقلبون. ماتم حسين يا حسين.
Ya Hussain, 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 Ya Hussain. 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 Ya Hussain.
ख़ैमे में आके शाह ने जब अलविदा कहा, कोहराम मच गया گیا تھا جس کا انتظار وہ ساتھ قریب ہے دن ڈھل رہا ہے شام مصیبت قریب ہے کچھ دیر کی ہے بات قیامت قریب ہے زینب غریب بھائی کی رخصت قریب ہے یہ کہہ کے مانگا ماں کا جو کرتا سلا ہوا کوہرام مچ گیا کوہرام مچ گیا خیمے میں آ کے شاہ نے جب الوداع کہا کوہرام مچ گیا کچھ دور ہٹ کے خیمے میں بولے شہ زمن زحمت نہ ہو تو بازو بڑھاؤ ذرا بہن میں بوس لوں وہاں کے بندگی جہاں رسن بازو بڑھا کے روتی تھی ہمشیر خستتن بھائی بہن کے بازو کو جب چومنے لگا کوہرام مچ گیا خیمے میں آ کے شاہ نے جب الوداع کہا کوہرام مچ گیا یہ سن کے بنت فاطمہ زہرا تڑپ گئی بولی گلا بڑھاؤ بس اب جلد یا اخی اماں کی بات آج مجھے یاد آ گئی میں بوس لوں وہاں کی چلے گی جہاں چھری زینب نے بڑھ کے چوما برادر کا جب گلا کوہرام مچ گیا خیمے میں آ کے جب الوداع کہا کوہرام مچ گیا یا حسین
Ya Hussein, 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 Ya Hussein.